Hi, so we are going to talk through points of sail. So we're assuming that the wind is the red arrow, and at the moment we're pointing head to wind. So head to wind, the main sail is not filled with air, and it will just be flapping slightly, and you've got no drive. So you haven't really, if you're just under sail, you can't go anywhere. What's going to happen is over time the bow will fall off either to starboard or to port. So in this case the bow has just fallen off to starboard, and as long as we trim the sail correctly, it'll start to pick up speed and sail off. Now, as close to the wind as we can sail is called close hauled. So close hauled would probably be, on most cruising boats, about 40 degrees-ish off the wind. And close hauled either on a port tack, like so, or on a starboard tack, like so. So, to clarify, a port tack is where the wind is passing over the port side of the boat first. So if the port side of the boat is to windward, that's a port tack. A starboard tack would be the opposite, where the wind is hitting the starboard side of the boat first. So the points of sail, there are several points of sail and they're symmetrical. So the points of sail on either side are symmetrical. Closest to the wind is called close hauled. So close hauled is closest to the wind. That's sometimes referred to as beating to windward. As we bear away slightly, we go on to the first of three reaches. So the first, next to close hauled, is close reach, or sometimes referred to as fine reach. Then when you get to 90 degrees to the wind, and the wind is on the side of the boat, known as the beam, then you're on a beam reach. Bear away some more, which means turn away from the wind some more, so the wind is now coming over the helm's shoulder, and that's a broad reach. So if you think of broad shoulders, broad reach, coming over a shoulder, and then as you're going dead downwind, with the wind coming over, hitting the back of your head, coming over both shoulders, dead downwind is a run, or a dead run. So just to go over that again, when we're head to wind, we're not sailing. We bear away until probably about 40 degrees off the wind, and at that point we are close hauled, then close reach, then beam reach, then broad reach, and then run. Okay, now when we're sailing, and we'll talk about this in another video, we set our sail so that it works upwind aerodynamically, in other words like the wing on a plane, and that's giving lift. And whereas the wing on a plane is giving you lift upwards, this, like so, this wing is obviously perpendicular, and so that gives you lift sideways. It's important when we trim that we get the angle of attack right. The angle of attack is the angle of the leading edge of the sail to the wind direction, and then we trim in the rest of the sail by pulling in on the main sheet, or if it's a head sail, pulling in the head sail sheet. That sheet will then pull in the sail to the appropriate amount, which gives you the right shape, which gives you lift. And we'll talk through that in another video. As you bear away, you change the angle so that the angle of attack to the wind remains the same. And of course, to do that, you are easing the main sheet or the main traveller. And as you bear away more, you ease the sail more until on a broad run your sail is pretty much perpendicular to the apparent wind direction. Okay, when you go dead downwind, on most yachts or most sailboats, your sail is going to be almost perpendicular, if not perpendicular, with the direction of the boat, and you're trying to collect as much wind as you can. And if you can imagine, if you go too far downwind, eventually the wind direction is going to get the wrong side of this sail. When it does that, this will fly through the boat, and the boat has jibed, but the boat has jibed from all the way out here to all the way out here, slamming through the boat and taking with it a slack main sheet, which then tensions up again as it goes through the cockpit. Obviously that could be very dangerous. That's known as an accidental or crash jibe. So we don't want to do jibes like that. What we want to have happen is when we're jibing, we want to start to, on a safe point of sail, start to bring the main into centre, and once we've got it into centre line, we go through the jibe, and then we are ready to swiftly and under control let the main back out again, assuming we are staying on a broad reach on the other tack. If we don't let the main out quickly and it's pinned to the centre, the boat will get to this point, and then because of the way the sail is trimmed, it will turn the boat naturally and quite quickly up to wind. So you're rounding up, or perhaps even broaching, and the boat will round up to wind, and then once it gets up to wind, it'll just stop and flap, and you will be out of control probably in that little part of it. So not a good idea. Okay, so now talking through tacking and jibing. So we have already established that we can sail at about 40 degrees off the wind on either tack. We can't sail dead into wind. That's because we're getting no aerodynamic effect over our sail. So if we are here and we want to get up here, how are we going to do that? Well, we can either turn on our engine and motor straight up to where we want to go, but what would be the fun in that? Or alternatively, we can sail there by sailing as high as we can on one tack, and then putting the nose of the boat through the wind, the bow of the boat through the wind, and sailing as high as we can on the other tack, and then putting the bow of the boat through the wind again, and sailing as high as we can on the other tack, and then bow of the boat through the wind, and voila, there we are. So that is what we were talking about earlier. That's beating to windward, and we are tacking up the line to get to where we want to go. So a tack is where you put the bow of the boat through the wind. In an alternate scenario, if we wanted to get to here and the wind is behind us, obviously our sail would be trimmed accordingly. Now we could potentially drive straight there, but that would be quite an awkward way to sail, and it won't be as fast as other points of sail. There is always the danger that we're going to have that crash jibe we were talking about. So what you're more likely to do is sail on a broad reach and then jibe the boat and then sail on a broad reach like so. So a jibe is where the stern of the boat is going through the wind. So just to confirm that again, a tack is when the bow goes through the wind, and a jibe is where the stern goes through the wind. Okay, and then the last thing to remember is that when we are sailing downwind, because of the dangers of crash jibe, it's important that we do all we can to mitigate the risk. And what we would do usually is rig what's called either a preventer or a foreguy. It's the same thing, different name. So the way that a preventer works is that when the main is out, the line that attaches from the boom to the boat is our main sheet. And then to stop this from crashing through the boat in the event that we make a mistake on the helm or the sea state pushes the boat through a jibe accidentally, we can mitigate that amount of damage and risk by rigging another line from the end of the boom forwards onto a strong point and then probably running it back down the boat so that it's onto a winch or onto a cleat, somewhere where we can get to it quickly if we need to release it and change direction. So that is acting as an opposing force to the main sheet. We make sure that the foreguy or the preventer is tightened up so that the boom, the spar that's holding that mainsail, is firm so that you haven't got a snatch load working on it. So you want it nice and firm, and you want it to run through strong points so that if you do have a crash jibe and pressure is put on the foreguy or on the preventer, it doesn't rip away or damage any parts of your boat, in particular safety rails running down the side of the boat. Okay, so be aware that when you're going downwind, you want to be thinking about rigging a foreguy or preventer, and you want to have that ready to go before you actually bear away, so that you're all set up and you're not having people running around the boat trying to set that up. Okay, so that's points of sail and a little bit about tacking, jibing, and the requirements of a preventer or a foreguy. Thanks for visiting Free Sailing Tutorials. If you'd like to see more of our free tutorials online, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Facebook page, or alternatively go to freesailingtutorials.com and subscribe for weekly updates. Thanks again.